Every new adjuster hears the exact same thing. Cat work is where the big money is. Travel, storms, fat checks. Yet what happens when the storms don't come? You've spent thousands on licenses and months waiting by the phone. As a result, you start to wonder if this career is even going to work out. However, here's the twist. Daily claims, the thing almost everybody overlooks, can actually keep you busier, steadier, and in some cases earning more than cat. Which means that the real question isn't which one pays better, it's which one builds the career you actually want. My name is Matt, and over the last 26 years, I've helped thousands of adjusters not only get deployed, but build long-term profitable careers in this industry. In this conversation, you'll hear from an adjuster who thought cat was the only way forward, yet he found himself swamped with daily claims instead. We'll talk about the surprising upside of daily work, what makes cat so unpredictable, and the one mind shift set that can save you years of stress. Starting now. This video is brought to you in part by Kaplik. Protect yourself as an IA with E&O and general liability coverages right now at cplic.net/adjustertv, and by Hague Education. The #1 resource for damage identification books, trainings, and certifications is Hague Education. And not only that, but they provide building inspection and desk adjuster trainings and certifications. And check them out at hagueeducation.com and use code AdjusterTV at checkout.
I feel like I'm at a little bit of a crossroads here where I need to figure out if I'm going to run cat or if I'm going to start building a daily market for myself. Because I'm not accidentally, but I'm kind of building a daily market for myself, and I haven't really been trying to in my home territory, the DMV and Pennsylvania, where DC, Maryland, Virginia has trouble keeping people and quality people, it would seem. And this is from what I'm being told. This isn't me casting judgment upon anybody. It's just, from what I'm being told by managers. So, if you do quality work, you put together good files, they'll overlook some of the stuff that has to get cleaned up in file review because you're sending them something clean and presentable. You know what I mean? So I'm staying busy doing daily work locally. With that said, I've invested in 27 licenses. So it's hard to kind of eat that when I'm living in a camper. So I've built my business to this point around wanting to run cat. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I got a decision to make.
You said you're at a crossroads of whether you want to go daily or cat. I guess the question would be, what's your end goal? Like, what do you, like 5 years from now, what do you envision your life looking like, or what you're doing for work?
I think 5 years from now, I would hope to be getting to a point where I'd be ready to build a daily claim business around DC, Maryland, Virginia. I think within those 5 years is the time when I'm ready to hit the road for, basically year round.
So you're kind of thinking that you want to start off doing cat and travel and do all that kind of stuff and sock back money and whatever, and then just sort of like have a soft landing at home and just do dailies, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That's absolutely a way to go. What would be sort of the reasoning behind doing one and then the other versus just picking one and just doing it?
I don't know that I'd want to keep running cat to that extent for more than 5 years. I'd like to settle it down. I'd like to settle it down at some point.
Well, rephrase my question. So why not just jump straight into daily instead of doing cat first?
And look, correct me if I'm wrong. This is why I'm asking you.
Sure.
I think I can make a good bit more money if I run cat year round for the next 5 years, so that I can put myself in a position where I can take a cut by coming back and running dailies at home, and put myself in a position where I can buy a house, I can pay off my debt. And
if you think about it this way, so catastrophe, the real difference between catastrophe and daily work isn't really that the pay is much different. It's that the sort of the spike or the season, I should say, of time where you work for catastrophe is, April, May through October, more or less, right? And then the rest of the year is occasionally storms, it might be winter storms or something in the south or whatever, but usually you get started with wind, hail, late season winter storms in March, April, May, and then you ride that out and maybe pick up a hurricane. And then, by Thanksgiving or even Christmas, you're kind of wrapped up with it. So you're making a lot of money in a short period of time, but I wouldn't say that you would be downgrading to go to daily. It's just a different way of kind of like coming at the problem. If that makes sense. So in other words, you get spikes of income, catastrophe adjuster, it's kind of feast or famine, but if you save your money, and if you're able to pick up ladder assist or something like that through an app where you could just like turn yourself on and off like Uber, and do that in the off season so that you protect all that money that you made over the summer, and then if you get a pop-up storm over the winter, then you can just turn that off and whatever. Then as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of the ideal. If you're going to do cat, that's kind of the ideal way to do it, because you're making that money has to have a job, right? That you're making. If you're making a lot more money than you're spending, right? You're not just like making just to cover your bills. You're making a bunch of extra money. What is that extra money for, right? So you said pay off the house, maybe get ourselves into a debt-free sort of position, which is a nice place to be, and then from there, then that opens up a lot more options for you, just in general, as far as like your financial freedom and your independence to do what you want to do, or more of what you want to do, and all that kind of stuff. It's a good foundation is to have no debt. But that said, that doesn't mean that daily is like you're going to take a pay cut. Daily is going to be, and they both have challenges getting them started up, obviously, but daily is a little bit different in that you're going to be working for a bunch of different companies, and I think that's sounds like what you're doing now is you're doing stuff for Rise and Alacrity and Renfro or whoever, Eberl.
It's just two of them right now that I'm actually working for. Yeah.
So over time, daily adjusters will have a half a dozen companies that feed them work every week, and you're going to have a speed limit with that. There's only so many that you can take, and you figure out what that is, right? And then daily claims, there still should be paying like fee schedule or T&E or something like that. You're not just getting paid by the hour. So you're still doing claims. I think if you, at the end of the day, that you could probably make as much or more as a daily adjuster than you could doing CAT. It may take a little bit more time to kind of work up to it. But I know a lot of daily adjusters with paid off houses who never worked CAT. So I think as far as like, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I have to hold my nose and like just get out there and put on my big boy pants and go do CAT and go travel and travel and live in a hotel for the next several years and save a bunch of money, pay off the bills, blah, blah, blah. And then I can just slide into like just kind of, doing whatever daily claims I want to do. It'll be a pay cut. But I think you can absolutely do that. And all I'm saying here is that I don't think the daily work is going to be a pay cut. Is really the bottom line. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's been between 13 and 20 a week for the last
That's a lot of claims.
Month and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kept me busy.
That's a lot of daily claims.
As a new guy, it has kept me busy.
Yeah, especially because they're not like every single one of them is a hail claim and every single one of them is an HO3. It's like probably a whole grab bag of policies, and a fire claim and a water claim and a raccoon in the attic claim and a this kind of claim and that kind of claim. It's a total mixed bag, right? And so you never know what you're going to get, which is one of the reasons why they want new adjusters, like brand spanking new adjusters, to do CAT first, because it's rinse and repeat the same thing over and over again, and they can build their skills that way. But if you're already doing dailies and they keep feeding them to you, that means that you've this is clicking with you and you've got some things figured out and you're not, you're not flailing around. 20, let's put it this way, 10 or 12, like regular daily claims, property claims is a pretty heavy load for a daily adjuster. Because they can be big. I mean, they could be like you're at the house for 3 hours. So interesting. So
like it got beat up at the end of that week.
yeah. That's, I mean, you need to take a little break, you're right, and maybe take one day to go run errands, and then another day to just like do nothing or go fishing or play golf or something like that. So do you have like a family and little kids, or like what's your sort of like personal life look like?
I'm single. I am unattached.
Okay.
So yeah, I live full time in a camper. So
gotcha.
That's why I say at the moment I'm kind of built for it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Do you have plans to change that status, or are you like just you love it? Or?
I mean, if it comes around, it comes around. I'm not.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that either way, you're kind of like, I would say you're kind of around the bend here on like the hardest part of getting all this started. You've got a lot of experience with Seek Now, right? Which is, you kind of can write your own ticket, even with that. You've done a lot of roof inspections. And then you've got, going on a couple of hundred property claims under your belt, and they're continuing to feed that stuff to you. You can really do what you want to do. If you're like, man, I'm just going to take the next 2 seasons and just go travel, make myself available to go travel wherever they need me to go, then do that. But it's going to be hard for you to do both at the same time. You kind of have to do one or the other. Again, daily has a little bit of an edge because you're in it now and they're feeding you claims. And this volume, it's August right now. In December, it's going to be exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? So there's no season for it. It's just all the time.
I guess I'm kind of coming to grips to a certain extent with, I came into this thinking that I was going to be running cat, and then what the business is throwing at me is something different.
Yeah.
Not throwing at me. What the business is giving me is something different than what I thought it was going to be, It's almost shut up, Matt, and get out of your own way and just keep doing what's already working.
It's kind of a tough one. But, I think talking through it, it's not that hard of a decision. It's just a matter of, if you do decide to just go all cat, then I don't think you'll necessarily burn a bridge with these companies, but you'll have to restart from scratch when you're ready to come back to it. And cat's not guaranteed. It's been, like I said, it's been slow this year with catastrophe stuff.
The one manager that gave me the chance with Alacrity said, I've asked him a couple times what's going on around the market, and he said there's not a lot going on.
Yeah.
And he has some areas that I know for a fact have been hit. From what I've been told, it sounds like the cat side isn't doing as much. It seems like things are shifting towards the daily side a little bit more in general.
This is kind of cyclical. This sort of thing happens every few years, especially with the major carriers, the State Farms and the Allstates. Like, I think right now, State Farm, over the past several months, year or so, maybe, State Farm went on a major like hiring spree where they hired. Mm-hmm. They haven't like, I think Crawford, somebody told me that they hadn't run a State Farm storm yet this year, one of the major IA firms, and so there were some layoffs because that was kind of, they're diversified, but like State Farm is so huge that that's a lot of their business. And I think this is kind of across the board with some of the IA firms. So it's been challenging, but the cycle, the way the cycle looks is that they hire all these staff adjusters, and then the claim volume isn't there to support the payroll, right? The benefits packages and everything for all these extra people. And if nothing happens with hurricane season this year, then there's a lot of catastrophe adjusters, sitting around drawing a paycheck, not really doing a whole lot. And I think then the cycle, they may keep it up like this for a year or 2 or 3, and then they'll flip back to using all IAs, or a lot of IAs, or really having their cat teams when they on a storm site be 50-50 IAs and cat and nat cat guys. But not every carrier is doing that. So then there's a lot of carriers. So it's it's not completely dead. It's just challenging when the major players are kind of like trying to handle all this stuff in-house without using IA firms. But we'll see. If we have this conversation, if we had this conversation in October, it might be slightly different. If you and I were having this conversation in October, I would tell you to forget about cat until next year, until May or whatever, because it's the end of the season and something may happen, but the chances of it happening are lower than they are now. Making the decision between cat and daily is only half the battle. To find out how you can position yourself so that firms keep calling you instead of your competition, check out this video right here. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great storm.